I've had my VOLTRAs for over 2 years now, and as cool as they are missing some of the accessories that come stock with most cable machines. So I had to DIY solutions to hold myself down, keep myself in place, and perform several of my favorite exercises. That is, until the REP Pegasus showed up. We've had this in our space since June of this year, and we've been using it almost exclusively to pair on my new rack with the VOLTRAs. We found that a lot of exercises are fantastic, some are pretty close, and we were just disappointingly shy of perfection on others. Today we're going to walk through the REP Pegasus and our experiences with it, so you can decide if this is the next addition for your home gym or not. What's up everyone, Joe Gray here today to talk about the REP Pegasus. I was an early tester of the Beyond Power VOLTRA 1s, and one of the reasons I have continued to use my Inspire FT2 was because I was in need of some accessories to really get the full experience. With the new Iron Bull Frankenstein rack showing up in my garage, I've joined the 3x3 party and I'm able to take a run at all the awesome attachments out there. The very first attachment I tracked down for my new rack was the REP Pegasus. I had some ideas in my head for some basic and not so basic exercises that would be unlocked in my space. So today we are going to walk through how the Pegasus is being used in our space with the VOLTRAs as the primary best friend accessory. So if you aren't part of the VOLTRA cult, today's video might not be for you. Quick housekeeping items for you. The REP Pegasus was sent to me by Rep Fitness for free for sake of review. Rep also currently sponsors my Garage Gym competition, and they have provided an affiliate link for me. If you decide after watching this to buy the REP Pegasus, the link in the description is an affiliate link, which will give me a kickback and cost you nothing, helping me to keep making videos just like this. The same goes for the VOLTRAs, by the way. Keep all of that in mind as we go. I appreciate your support. Let's dig in. Let's take a quick overview of the REP Pegasus in terms of the build and features before we dig into the performance. The main pad is almost identical to a front bench seat pad in terms of the stitching, the vinyl, the injected foam, even the contoured shape. The Nighthawk, however, has the newer fully wrapped vinyl where we don't have this pin and strip around the bottom edge, which is a bit cleaner and limits the overall ability for tearing over time. Minor difference, but something I could see in a V2 redesign for the Pegasus. The seat is adjustable in a number of heights and angles by means of not only your ability to move it up and down your rack, but by the two different pop pins. These are your more traditional locking pop pins. We saw at Home Gym Con that Iron Bull Strength was demoing a rack pad that had the pins that can be locked out, which is very similar to the attachment port on the Freak Athlete ABX. The cool thing with that kind of option is it could allow some rotational movement for exercises like hip thrusts. Another potential V2 feature as well. We have the rollers, which can adjust up and down to lock in large and in charge and tiny but mighty athletes' legs. I really like the ability, by the way, to tighten this pin on the back because it keeps the rollers from coming out entirely as you adjust up and down for multiple athletes. But we can also remove the rollers entirely for two different purposes. First is storage, because it makes it a little bit less cumbersome. And second is because the rollers can come off the Pegasus entirely and be used like a set of rack rollers. I find them to be a little too short for things like hip thrusts, so you're probably going to use these for split squats and maybe a few other creative solutions. They're not exactly a home run, but I appreciate the concept. The big piece to the puzzle, of course, is the actual attaching of this rack attachment to your rack. We have a fully UHMW covered frame that comes in contact with the rack. We have a stainless steel pin that slides in, and then you have a included mag pin, which is actually one of my favorite options. I have plenty of them. It's easy to use, holds tight, but not too tight, and the grip is perfect. They also included a small storage hole for the pin when not in use, so you don't misplace it or get the Pegasus set up and realize it is just out of reach. This is the kind of stuff that lets you know that Rep actually used their equipment before putting it to market. The tension knob eats up any additional space from side to side as well, which means this can accommodate true 3x3 and metric 3x3 racks. We do not get a tension knob to adjust for front to back though. For me, this was never an issue, but you can see how it moves a bit here. even when fully locked in. I've had DMs mention this, and some even going out and 3D printing a tighter fit for their own rack. This will likely greatly depend on your rack manufacturer and how picky you are. The handle is fully knurled, and so is the tension knob. As I've said before, this isn't necessary, but that little bit of tactile feedback is nice and just fits well in a home gym. Overall, the Pegasus is very well presented. Clean powder coat, great vinyl, stainless steel pins and contact points, UHMW throughout, great thought into how this would be used, moved, and more. Over the course of the past several months, this has been used by multiple athletes in my gym, and it looks brand new. Outside of a big drop or crash with a barbell, I'd expect this to look as good as it does today for years to come. A quick detour before we dive into today's main course with the VOLTRAs. You can 100% use the Pegasus for a number of other exercises. Chest supported row variations, incline curl options, preacher curl variations, dumbbell bench variations, whatever this is. And since we get a number of angle adjustments, can adjust up and down the rack, we get a lot of creativity and ability to use with all sizes of athletes. If you own the Pegasus, you could conceivably decide to ditch your bench entirely depending on what your programming and goals look like. All right, this is the bread and butter of what I wanted the Pegasus for, pairing with my VOLTRA Is. The obvious exercise is the lat pull down. You hop on the seat, adjust the rollers to keep you in place, and get to work. For me and my wife, this was a little more straightforward. For my daughter, we had to tinker a bit. You need to get a little creative for smaller athletes because the seat doesn't slide forward and back. Instead, you need to figure out the right solution of pop pin settings. Keep in mind that the Pegasus is going to go into the fourth upright hole above the last bolt and nut you have for your lower cross members. This puts me at about 16.5 inches off the ground, or 14 inches from the bottom of the rack and the platform. At my 6-foot height, I've got a little room to spare, but my Iron Bowl strength Frankenstein rack is a very tall beast. If you are working with a shorter rack, make sure to measure. Keep in mind that the Pegasus attaches to an upright and not a cross member, so you'll only be able to orient your VOLTRA in certain fashions. And if you have something like the Force USA Tandem Tower, this isn't going to solve your lat pull-down needs. In a V2 solution, having the ability to change mounting orientations or slide the seat forward and back might be cool additions. That said, this combo works much better than my FT2 and has converted me to using the VOLTRAs for all of my lat pull-down work. I had 2 other exercises with my VOLTRA that I knew I wanted to pair with the Pegasus, both for leg day. First up was the standing leg curl. I've done these in the past with my FT2, but not having anywhere to brace against was a downside. The Pegasus allows me just enough room to put the VOLTRA at the bottom end of my rack, drop the Pegasus right above it, and use it to support the upper thigh so I can focus entirely on squeezing the hamstrings. I'm using my IPR Fitness Glute Kickback Pros here, by the way. This gets the job done and is a very good variation. The second one is a seated hamstring curl. We're going to hook the Pegasus up high enough on a front upright that you can get your feet swinging underneath without hitting the ground. Then we are going to put the VOLTRA up, way up, likely on the upper cross member as far back as you can. I use 2 daisy chains here to help split this into 2. Obviously you could use 2 VOLTRAs, but that's a little extra. This allows our legs to freely swing around the uprights without running into any issues. We'll use the rollers on the Pegasus as well to hold ourselves down and keep ourselves in place. And the VOLTRA has the auto load and auto deload feature, so I can easily get in and out of position, maximize the stretch and full range of motion without having to do any wonkiness. The only issue we have with the execution here is that the handle on the Pegasus can rub on the inside of your legs. Both of these were favorite exercises of mine with the FT2, but have been a big upgrade with the VOLTRAs and the Pegasus combo. Because the Pegasus can be used to provide support in a number of ways, I was able to add it into my rotation for a lot of other cable exercises as well. Instead of using a bench, you can do standing cable curls. I can use my spotter arms and get some extended stretch and range on things like rear delt work. I can use it for lateral raises, triceps extensions, and this chest supported cable row is pretty fire. Because the VOLTRAs and Pegasus are so easy to set up and use together, I've gone back and looked at a lot of the exercises I commonly program to see if they could be improved with a VOLTRA and a little stability. More often than not, they were. While the Pegasus crushed it for me in a number of areas, there are two where I think they could get a little better. First is with storage. If you have a 6-post rack configuration or even a front or rear foot solution, the Pegasus can go on there much like it is on my crossmember here. Otherwise, this thing is going to hang off your rack, need a dedicated storage upright, or in my situation, be dismantled a bit and stored on your mass storage rack. So you need to think through storage for the Pegasus for your own space. Second, and this is the one I really wish they had an answer for, is seated rows. The Pegasus is already great for lat pulldowns. Why not finish off the solution here and give me a seated row footplate so I don't have to own another rack attachment? If REP made something that slid right over the top of the seat and now we had a base to put our feet on, we'd be in business. I could use my REP Nighthawk, my REP Pegasus, and the VOLTRA and dominate some seated rows. Instead, my current solution is to use my spotter arms with an Oak Club KLO step and 2 mag pins for a decent, although very expensive DIY. Come on REP, give me what I need here. Alright, the question I set out to answer was whether this was the perfect attachment to pair with the VOLTRAs or not. The majority of the other options on the market are either just a rack pad or just a lat seat. REP managed to combine multiple pieces into one, even sneaking in that fancy roller option. Rogue recently launched their monster multi-use lat seat, which looks to have some of the same features, but a slightly different approach to the execution. For my money currently, without handling Rogue's option, I'd lean towards REP. The stainless steel pins and pop pins, the fact that Rogue still uses a hitch pin instead of a mag pin, the Pegasus feels a little more refined. I think there is room for improvement in the Pegasus and still probably room for certain audiences to own something like the Prime Stability Pad that has more reach, which would then give you more range of motion. But I've been happy with the Pegasus overall and feel like I'll keep finding solutions where I want to use it over grabbing a bench or plain Janing it. Alright my friends, that is the REP Pegasus review. What do you think? Is this something worth owning? The perfect complement to the VOLTRA? Or maybe there's another option out there? Maybe you think I should review that Rogue piece or the Prime Stability Pad? Let me know in the comments below. If you want to check out other rack attachments I am using with my VOLTRAs, check out this video right here. If you want to make sure you don't miss anything I'm working on, behind the scenes details, exclusive training tips from coaches and lifters, first thoughts on new product sales and more, sign up for my newsletter. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back with my home gym awesomeness for all of you very soon.